What's up everybody? So we're back out in the shop and we're continuing our daily vlog. So what we're working on today is the Farrier's Rasp knife. We're going to be doing the bevels. We're going to be doing, talking about what we're doing leading up to the bevels, how we're going to do our bevels, and then we're going to talk about getting ready for heat treat, what steps we need to do prior to heat treat, what steps we need to do after heat treat, and then we're going to go ahead and go into the tempering process and how I temper, what I do with that, with my oven, things like that. We're going to talk about those things, and like I said, we're going to just break it down and get into it and hopefully give y'all plenty of information on the reason why I do things certain ways, especially depending on the different types of knives that I work on. And that's the point of all these daily vlogs. There's all kinds of different stills to work on. There's all kinds of different ways that you can make knives. I'm just trying to break down a lot of the ways that I make them. Hopefully it helps you in your knife making adventures. So let's go ahead, let's jump into it, see how it goes. What we're going to go ahead and do here is take this Sharpie and mark the edge of the blade so that we can then scribe the center line for where our bevels are going to go to make our cutting edge. And we would typically use the calipers to do this, but because the file has all those indentions that make it a file, we need to go ahead and use this block. I only use this every once in a while, and most of the time it's just for files. We're going to use this block, do that center line, and it won't recess into all those indentions like a pair of calipers would. And you can get that block from Home Depot. It's a real cheap block. There's our nice center line. And that's where we're going to be grinding to, like I said, to get our cutting edge. Now we need to go ahead, put our plunge line jig on, and whenever I'm trying to figure out the angle that I'm going to do this plunge line jig for my plunge lines, I'm going to go ahead and try and mimic the front of the handle scales where they meet the ricasso. That's pretty much what I do on most of the knives. And I would typically take my calipers and scribe where I'm going to do my bevels up to, but because this is going to be a full flat grind, it's not really necessary. And what I typically do here is on the initial grind, I will grind all the way to the center line at a steep angle. That makes it to where you automatically set that center line where it's supposed to be, just like that. And then we're going to feather that initial bevel all the way back to the full flat grind that we're going to end up with. So that's basically what we're going to do here. We're just going to feather it back, and all I'm doing is I'm still putting pressure towards the edge of the blade while slowly putting more and more pressure on the spine, and that will rock that bevel all the way back to where I want it. And if I wanted to do a Scandi grind or something like that, I can do it the same way. But with this, because I'm going for that full flat grind, I'm just going to keep pushing that pressure on the spine, keep checking, making sure I know where I'm at. The last thing you want to do is just hog all the material off and end up going too far, because on a full flat grind, you can grind all the way into the spine of the knife and it won't leave a good look. So that's what we're going for on this first belt. Just leave a little bit extra on the top there. We don't want to grind all the way down. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to take a 180 grit belt. This is a ceramic belt as well, and we're going to take it and go all the way to the spine, as you can see right there. And that's going to finish our full flat grind. And all we're going to do here, this is a 400 grit belt. We're going to slowly work it back and forth, and we're going to take a lot of those scratches from the 40 and the 180 grit belt out of the bevels. And then we're going to go ahead and take a medium Scotch-Brite belt and do the same exact thing. I'm not putting a lot of pressure, just enough to be able to get those big scratches out of the blade just like that. And the reason why I do that is so that when we get to the heat treat, it already has those big scratches out while the file is still soft. So once we heat treat it and get it hard again, we don't have to do as much work later. We're gonna go ahead, get it into the forge. I am using a piece of angle iron in there so that that burner is not blowing straight onto the blade itself. You want to be able to heat this blade evenly and not have hot spots throughout the blade or risk burning it. Then we're quenching in peanut oil. I like peanut oil. It's something that I'm comfortable with, and I've had good success with it. That was heated to 120. And then, of course, we got a nice hardened blade, file tested just fine. And this is what it looks like after we clean the blade. You have all that forged scale left on it, and all I did was cleaned it with soap and water and a nylon brush. But right now what we're going to do, we're going to take that medium Scotch-Brite belt and we're going to take as much of that forged scale off as we can to be able to get back to this type of finish. And the reason behind that is whenever we go through the temper process, we're looking for a particular color, and that is a straw color. If you still have all that forged scale on there, then you won't be able to tell that you've tempered to the right temper. And I'll tell y'all, I absolutely love these Scotch-Brite belts. All the different grits that I have just do amazing work, and y'all should definitely think about scooping some up if you get a chance. You'll be surprised by what they can do. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to dip the blade in this bucket of water and get the blade back to room temperature. If it has residual heat from the heat treat process or from the belt grinder smoothing it out, that will transfer into your blade tempering way faster than normal, and you will not have an even temper. So we're going to put it in here, room temperature, and temper it for 2 1-hour cycles at 375 degrees. Alright guys, well that wraps up today's daily vlog. Let's go ahead and do a quick recap of what we did today. So, we went ahead, got the bevels done on the knife. Then, we took it to the next step, which is heat treating it. So we heat treated it, did that whole process, and then we file tested it to make sure it was hard. It definitely is hard. And then, we went to the belt grinder and used that Scotch-Brite belt to actually put a finish back on it, because the last thing you want to do is go from the forged scale and having it that dark color and go straight into heat treat, because you won't be able to see this color right here. But we make sure, take that forged scale off, and then we cool the blade. We want to go ahead and dunk it in water, make sure that it is just absolute room temperature cool, so that whenever you go into the temper, you actually are starting your process the same every single time, and you're not risking the blade already being warm when it goes into the oven, and then you do your regular heat treat process and you temper it too much and you have to go through and reheat treat it and all that. So this is the color that you want on it, that nice straw finish. So that's where we're at right now. So the next step is going to be making a handle for it and then getting the handle put on it. So that's what we're going to be doing next. I'm excited about this one. I am going to do another multi-piece handle, so be looking forward to that. And guys, if you haven't yet, give this video a thumbs up. Share this video or a video that I've done in the past that might be your favorite. And don't forget, bottom corner, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you get notified of whenever I have more videos like this coming out, plus the completion of this knife right here. Thank y'all for coming by. Thank y'all for checking that beauty out. Y'all have an amazing day. I'll catch y'all next time.